Hey everyone, it is Ellen from Advocate of Soul, and many of you know why I do this YouTube channel, and here's why. Because I love the human journey and I love the human story, and I believe that every person has gold, everybody has a story, everybody has a message, a clarion call that they're putting out into the world. And so I just pull guests from all over the place. Those of you who've written me and said, "Can I be on?" I'm like, sure. I don't even know most of the guests that I bring on, but I get to know them really well because there's a soul connection already. And so, what's coming on here today is a special guest. We met in the Start Over movement, which is a book series that we're all authoring. There's over 140 of us doing this first book series. And it is a pleasure to bring on today Nicholas Graham. And Nicholas, I know that you're an actor, you're an author. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of little things to you. And today is your opportunity just to share not only your story, but your heart, your passion.
Yeah,
Put it all behind it and let it just flow and let it out because I know that you have a message that we're all needing to hear at this moment. So, Nicholas, thank you for coming.
yeah. Oh, I'm happy to be here, Teresa.
I'm so glad.
Because I mean, we've spoke back and forth on Instagram, but we haven't actually done this. So I'm really grateful for you having me on. Yeah,
Well, I know that you have a unique story, and I just know that there's going to be people that are listening that are going to grab bits and bobs of it and go, yeah, that's me. If he can do it, I can do it. So, what I'd like you to do for our audience, Nicholas, is tell us your story.
yeah. Well, my story is this. From growing up, I've never been good at reading or writing. Disturbing background with my parents, dad in and out of jail. It's all in the book, and my mum was told by a teacher that I would never be able to read or write, and basically, yeah, I'm going to use a powerful word here because she destroyed me that day. That day wiped out 40 years of confidence with the reading or writing and putting myself out there to be that, just like everybody else has done. And I finally found the courage because what I've realized it's about, with my hurt inner child, it was really caused me a lot of pain and stopping me from doing stuff. But with my years evolving as being, going through life and being an adult, I've learned to befriend my hurt inner child where I
Mm.
can get myself put in place. Yeah, it's going to hurt, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but I've got the life experience and the know-how to navigate myself with what I've been doing. So that's what gets me here. Do you know what I mean? Because my first step was to wanting to be an actor, and in order to do that, I had to leave where I was working, and even that was a story in itself. Because when I left school, my uncle worked there for 30 years. It was a place called IMI, then it was called PCC Precision Parts. And then basically, I applied. What you had an aptitude test, and because of being put down so much at school and never being able to achieve anything, I couldn't take any more of the knocking. So I just literally turned my life and went the other way and become an upholsterer. And in that time, I've done every job. Even now, the tower cranes, the big tall tower cranes, what I'm doing, driving now. I remember driving, well, not driving, being on a bus, going into town and just looking. It's like a manifestation from way back in the subconscious. Looking at it, I'd love to do that job one day. I mean, when I was a young kid, and it's just like now I'm doing it, and basically, I found a way to just feel the fear and do it anyway. And it seems a bit crazy now because they've wrote a book about it, but this is what I've been doing, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And all I've been doing is keep putting my foot down and just trying to do my best. And for some, it's working. It's working. I've managed to get myself into acting school. I mean, that was again with because my story's all over the place. It's very hard to talk and it really go navigate through because with me being so young, and I don't want to give too much away about because what's in the book, but with me giving everything to my family and my mum, basically in a nutshell, she gave everything. She sold the house that she was in. My nan lived there. She suddenly passed away. My brother, who had kids, he had two older kids, and then he had four other kids after. One, two, and as the kids, as she had more kids, as he had more kids, that's when he wanted to know my mum. You know what I mean? Because my brother, I've got him all the jobs, what he's had, even the job he's doing now as a gas engineer, to the point whereas he didn't even want to come to the house to fix the boiler. He
Wow.
would send Mother's Day cards in the post. I would do all the work. It was stuff like that, and then in the end, his wife was taking the kids to her mum's, which is in Birmingham. My mum knew about it, and he was breaking her down. And with me watching this over the years, people stepping on my mum, it really, really, it really got me real down and low. And in the end, she sold the house. I told her mum I wanted her to sell beforehand because to downsize because she was struggling. So when everything passed, Nan passed away, she just turned around and said, "Well, she's going to sell the property and give it to my brother." And I was devastated. I've looked after my mum. I used to travel from the other side of town and look after her, pick her up. When I was on night shifts, I'd pick her up, just take her, I was do everything for her. So you could just imagine,
Mhm.
she says, "Oh, you've got no kids." And Leon's got the kids, so she's going to give it all to him. And that's what spiked me to be on this journey here. But again, with the depression, I was diagnosed chronically depressed, and I went in a real dark place. And I didn't have anybody. Everybody thought one of the things I think the reason why I thought I could be an actor is because I fooled myself all these years. I fooled everybody around me. Think, oh, he's strong, he can do it, and I was suffering big time. And the only thing I could do was get up and go to work. Other than that, I couldn't function. So with me being on that journey, that's what gets me here. I thought, yeah, but the one thing I had to do was leave the workplace where I was at
Mhm.
because that wasn't a good fit for me with all the night shifts, day shifts. So I just retrained. And then on one of the Christmases, my friend offered me to come round to his house for Christmas. I was touched by that. My mate Clay and Evie, and but that's Evie's his wife. And I says to him, you know what I want to do is I want to pursue to be an actor, but go to do some lessons or something like that. And that's what they did after Christmas. It's like, they actually listened. They sent me a telephone number of their friend who was doing an improv class, and I went, and my whole life changed from there. I literally, after 4 weeks being in that job, I put in my note, even though I'd done my retraining back into my tower cranes, so I missed a bit out there. I've retrained back into my tower cranes, and then that's what it did. That's what I did. I left that, done my tower cranes, and then pursued my acting. And that's what gets me here because feeling the fear, meaning that it's all the same. So what I've done is because it's all the same. So because I've seen this, because like with
Mhm.
Marco, I met Marco when I was at a film studio in Manchester called Photoshop. So I was
Okay.
already chasing my passion there, and I was doing well. But again, I was really bad to the point. It was like, well, this guy looks like he's wasting his time because I couldn't read the script. I was shaky. I just literally couldn't do it. But I just literally learned on the job. And because what it was my hurt inner child. So I just had to just bear with it and
Mhm.
then just take my time. And it slowly soaked in. I met Marco. I'd done a scene with Marco's fiance at the time. I played a detective. And even when I finished, he said, "Boy, that was wicked." Because that scene, that character, like it was made for you, and you should definitely pursue an actor. And then after that, I followed Marco on Instagram. Then this come about with the book,
Yep.
and I seen it at first, and I thought, no, I don't want to do it. I can't. I don't really want to put myself through all that. But I thought to myself, well, you put yourself through that anyway. So the fear's the same. So
Mhm.
I messaged him, but I says to him, because I can't really write. There's no way. He goes, well, if you can record it, then we'll do the rest. And that's how I meet you.
And
And that's
that's
how
how
I'm
you're
here.
here. All right. So
Yeah,
I want to hone in on something because you said some very key things as you
yeah,
were, sharing parts of your journey. And I know we're not going to give away the whole book here. So,
yeah.
um,
That's
that's for people to
keeping it
order
going.
and
Yeah,
read, everyone.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but you talk about feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
yeah,
So when you were a child, when you were going through
yeah.
all that dark stuff and were you overcome by the fear, or did you at that time also know how to push through that fear?
Well, what you I've been fighting since birth. I've been making decisions since 5. And when you read the book, what I did at 5, that's where Mr. Graham come from. That comes the identity. Whereas when when my the nursery teachers there made me feel a certain way, I reacted that, and I can't believe that part of this big part of this, what was hard about it is I had to go back and relive all them traumas. And it was like before I've just thought about it. When you relive it and you feel it, I was like, wow,
Mm,
now I know why you're the way you are.
mm,
Because when I was looking back before, I was just looking without the feeling. So for me now, feeling is the equals something else. So now I'm gone back and I've come through, and it's like, okay, you go through again. And that's how as I'm going through it, now I'm understanding myself. Now I understand why I react to certain people and certain things because of the way I've had to bring myself up. Because my parents was never around in our when we was back when we finished school and stuff like that. So I had to learn and bring myself up, and I was never treated like a young kid or a teenager. I've always been treated like a 20-odd-year adult because that's how I could function. I was always ahead of my time. I mean, Danny Trejo, who's a famous actor, Mexican actor, he says at the end of his films, he likes to be died off, to be killed off, because he doesn't want people to feel like, that, crime pays. Now, in my mind, I think, like, I must be some way ahead of my time because I was brought up around criminals. My dad was criminals, drugs, and all of that. But the one thing I knew, it didn't pay because the simple reason I seen the highs and I seen the lows. I seen the
mm.
lows in the point where people didn't even have the basics, bread, milk, and eggs. And that scared me as a young kid. And I thought, you know what? No, no, no. I don't want this. Even though I was in it, and I never ever took it to the level and just thought, okay, I'm just going to do that. I always had that little bit of self control. The one thing I've got, which I know, which is up there and it's different, is the self control to not overindulge. Even when it comes to drugs, I took the drugs, but never overindulged in anything. It was my body's been like a fairground ride, and I've always known how to get off, and that's how it's been for me.
Oh my gosh. So if somebody's listening to your story right now and they're like, well, what did you do to get yourself up? Like what were
What?
the things that you did to get yourself to go from sitting down to standing up on the inside of yourself? What did you do?
Well, again, I give myself little metaphors because, like, I was at this when I was working, and we had a new management team coming. And with this new management team, you could just imagine everybody's pushing. We had this thing where we're going to give another American company bought us, and the last one was that Warren Buffett bought the company, and it was like they were striving for 1% every quarter. And the way these managers will talk to you and try and push you, we had old ancient machines, so we could only go as fast as the machines. But then I found myself losing my temper with these people, and I
Mm,
give myself three strikes because the managers are doing something. And the one day, a manager come up to me that in this place, there's people working in there 30, 40 years. At one point, there's somebody been working there longer than I've been born. And if you move somebody in this place after you've got it all on the program, they would go home and report it to HR. I got moved four times this one day, and this young manager, what was 25, young enough to be my son, at the end of it, he come to me because how come you ain't done that? I flipped out, and when I said I lost the plot to the point he walked away and he said, "Well, I'll be the one that ends the conversation." And I thought, was boy, did I need a hug that day? And it was like I would have ended him there. It's not a nice thing to say, but my background with my anger, not say I would kill somebody, but he would have felt the wrath of what I was feeling. And I
mhm,
thought to myself, but here's the thing, in the mix of it, I took a step back in a condor moment and I looked at it from his point of view. He's a manager trying to do his job. I looked at it from my point of view and I thought, well, okay. And then I thought, well, how am I doing that? How
mm,
am I just breaking that down? I'm thinking, okay, so I'm halfway there. That's three strikes. We got to go. And that's what happened. I was embarrassed.
sure.
I apologized later. I
Hmm.
mean, even when I went to him, he says to me, if you didn't come and apologize for what happened, I would have reported you to HR. And I goes, well, look, you've got to see it from my point of view. I go, yeah, you're young enough to be my son. And one thing what you've got to do, even though you're a manager, you have to show me, you have to show respect to your elders, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of that, I shouldn't have done what I've done, but I've identified my problem. That's why I'm here.
Mm,
And I didn't lose my job, but I give myself three strikes, and I just followed up on one thing. What I do, if I say I'm going to do something, I follow it up to the letter. I'm relentless. I literally do what I say I'm going to do, and I've
Yes.
noticed that. So if I like, with with the book, it was out of my hands because I'm like, once I've signed up, I knew I'll do whatever it takes. I'll
Yeah.
do whatever it takes, and I nearly quit at the beginning because I was coming to the masterminds and I was talking to him, and I freaked again. I identified it was my inner child. I literally freaked out. I said I couldn't do it. I froze. Marco just assured me then,
Hmm.
and then after that, you see, the thing is, the whole time with with the book series, it's been actually a dreaded time for me
Mm.
because I showed Marco that hurt inner child, that inner me,
Yeah.
and he couldn't deal with it at that point because at that point there was no systems in place, there was no edit, there was no nothing. It was something that he couldn't do at that time.
Hmm.
So he had to kind of like blank the messages, just try and keep me. Because you think if I don't tell this guy the right thing, I'm gonna lose him. So without Marco, and again with me, again it was so painful to the point I was lying on the bed when I was diagnosed with antidepressants. One of the reasons, again, it was mad because when I took the antidepressants, it's like you just imagine a balloon and a cat with paws pushing. It was
Mm.
like that working on my head. And when I spoke to the doctor, he goes, that's you overthinking. He goes, but if you come off them now and you don't finish the course, you go right back where you was. What did I do again? I finished the course. I'd done the 6 months, even though I felt that way.
Yeah.
And what did that do? That allowed me to go all the way through with Marco because I was dealing with that. He never knew what I was going through.
Hmm.
And again, you've got to guard your heart because out of it comes the issues of life. I've done that so many times and I've ruined things. And but this time I thought I've got to hold it, and I did. And I'm glad that's what gets me here because I was that close to not making it. But because I can stick for some reason for what I say I'm going to do, that's all. That's all part of this journey. Even though you're on this mend, and even though you're doing it, there's things that you can do, but you've got. It's not going to be all just okay. Oh, someone tells you, oh, you can do this or do that, and it's just going to happen. You got to be. This is what the uncomfortable is. For me, it was dealing with all my hurt inner traumas
Hmm.
in a nutshell, and it's like life is like an Atari 2600. You go through until you get to a point where you've got to beat Wonder Boy. There's a game called Wonder Boy. There's loads of things where you got to jump and you got to whatever, and things you can't save. And
Yeah.
as you go through, you'll come to another obstacle, which is the exact same, but you've got to keep on doing it to get through. And that's the same as in life. I have to deal with all the obstacles what I've been through in order to progress. You know what I mean? So all the stuff what I've been struggling with, okay, well, you have to beat this to get to that side. You know what I mean? So for me, that's why if I'm doing anything that's challenging for me, I
Hmm.
know if when I do it, it will equal something else. So I know there's something else on the other end of it, even though whether it is or not, in my mind, that's how it works. And for some reason, that's how I managed to do this. And again, I'm doing all of this on my own. When I'm reading these scripts, when I'm, saying I'm writing this book and I'm doing all, there's nobody I can talk to or lay it off. I mean, in the WhatsApp group, we've got people there, but again, I felt a little bit distant because
Yeah.
everybody's writing and I'm not writing. Mine's
Yes.
getting all done for me, so I can't really relate to anybody. Oh well, I've written this and I've so again, I've just kind of come back a bit. Do you know what I mean? So if that makes sense, can you can
Mhm.
you can you
Yes, it
gauge what I'm
does. It
saying?
does.
Yeah,
And some of the journey that you're talking about, there's real power that can be found in that kind of like isolation tank is what I call it.
yeah,
Like you begin
yeah,
to find yourself, right? Because it's like, who am I going to rely on? There's nobody to rely on. There's nobody that I can just say, hey, can you help me? Like, help me pick, you have to find it on the inside of yourself. And
yeah,
I think today, with the way the world is going and the way things are appearing, because I think sometimes things appear a certain way, um, pushing past that fear, having that message that you have is really important for this time because people are frightened. People are facing adversity and really terrible things, in their lives. And to hear a message that like, wait, you can actually find the power inside of you. So if you were to articulate, Nicholas, what that
yeah.
power is it your
The
voice?
power is
What is it? What's the power inside of you?
the power is that you've got to be still and be with yourself. And the one part, what because I live alone,
Okay.
and I was taking a lot, I was still taking a lot of drugs at the time, even though I was working and stuff. And again, I was reverting back to my old self when I could manage to sit and be in the house on my own. Because sometimes you'd finish going out and you'd be on a session and you think, oh bloody, I've got to go back home again. And then you got to learn how to sit still with yourself, be still. Because in reality, nobody needs anybody. And in order to understand that concept, you would have to have lived a certain life to understand that. And for me, when everything what's happened in my life, all the bad, I've had nobody. My son, well, when I met a lady when I was going through my basic training in the army, I ain't going to talk too much about it, but um, in a nutshell, I bumped into her and she said that I did have a son, and like I wanted to do DNA and stuff like that. I have to. I just took myself off track. Hold on. Yeah, again, at that when I found out that I had a son, I had nobody to help me. Even my mom, my dad, nobody helped me chase to find out if my son was mine to do a DNA. Nobody. You could imagine I was in the army at the time, and I snowballed and I dipped. My dad went to back to jail again. So you could just imagine in my life when I didn't have me, nobody did. From parents, nobody. There was nobody there. I didn't have any close friends to help me. So it's just somehow I managed to just sit with myself and just I don't know, just figure it out. I had a family member. One minute he was at my house and he said it was all dark and it was he sounded very bitter. He come back and he goes, man, he goes, the house just feels so light. He goes, what have you done? Hey, he goes, you know what? I goes, I'll just let go. I stopped being bitter. I stopped blaming everybody else, and I just blame me because it's all a reflection of me. Even though there was my family, it was me. It was all on me. You know what I mean? And the truth be known, I did see kind of a shift with my parents and
Mhm.
my brother, but I carried on because I thought, oh, it's my family. But no, no, no. And then the moment I grasped that concept and then looked inwards, didn't blame anybody else because at the end of the day, when I'm angry and I'm acting a certain way, people are going to react to that. When I step back and I'm not being so angry and so aggressive and being all that, what I get back is totally different. Then all my circles changing because I'm not fighting negative and because hurt people hurt people. And when I say hurt people doesn't mean someone has to be doing something really, really bad. Hurt people could be saying like, "Oh, that person never said all right to me, so I'm not saying all right to them." That's why you didn't understand. You don't really know what happened there. Did that person see you or anything? And when you did go over to try and speak to that person, that they just shunned you away. That's a hurt person. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So what I've realised, the hurt thing starts from a low level, and as it gets bigger, obviously it's more dangerous with more hurt people. You know what I mean? That person's been taught horrible to me.
Mhm.
I'm going to be horrible to them. And what I've done now, I've just literally stepped back. I don't engage in the negative at all now. I just deal with me. The one thing I had to do was when I left to stop the drugs. First and foremost, that was if I want to be an actor, I can't be taking myself on those deep drives and being around everybody that's got no interest. I mean, because it's mad, when they say people, oh, count the five people around you, and then I can tell you who you are. Well, who am I? Because when I was at my old place, my workplace, I was going to the theatre in London. I was going to all these plays. I was going by myself. I didn't have nobody to go with. Nobody was interested. So for me, I've been kind of like an exception to the rule in a sense because I've been lifting weights for a long time, and when I got a personal trainer and I was lifting weights, and he goes to me, he goes, "You don't need me." He goes, what you do in the gym is not normal." And I goes, "I know I don't need you, but if I pay for you, I'm gonna come." And again, I befriend myself and goes, "Well, I paid. We ain't gonna sort that. We're gonna do 100%." And I never missed a session for the year and a half. 3 sessions with him, and I'll probably go 4 or 5 with myself. And that's what I'm like. It'd be like I'll be fatigued, and I'll call out a number. Yeah, I'll do 50. Just joking. He goes, right, and go and do that then. and I'll get my numbers every time. He goes, I'd finish a night shift. I would do, people would like have a pre-workout training supplement. I'll do an hour cardio.
Mhm.
I do legs. I'm squatting for reps, 220 kilos for reps. And he's looking, hold on, he's just done a 12-hour night shift. He's dripping with sweat after doing an hour cardio, and he's banging out sets like that. I was on the hack squat. We had 6 plates of 20 on the side, and there was another personal trainer. And he goes to me, oh, you're going to do sets of 5? I go, yeah, don't worry. I go, if I don't do sets of 5, I'll just drop the weight. Don't worry. Again, I'm befriending myself. I've got
Mhm.
my numbers. Then the personal trainer beside him goes, he's the strongest guy in the gym. And he doesn't even take steroids because, no, I don't take steroids because I've always been in my head. When I'm going to go all the way back now. When I've done Army Cadets, when I went there, the Sergeant Major there, he was big like Zeus. And I didn't find out later after. His training partner was 6-time Mr. Olympia, Darren Yent. He's the guy who was won it like the same times as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not just one on, not yes, same as Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's how I get into training. So when I used to train, when I was younger, I used to burst blood vessels in my face. I used to really, because it was a release. But the one
Yes.
thing what happened to me, right, is the weights and training, it stopped working, it stopped diffusing me. So when I used to get down and low, weights wouldn't help.
Mm.
Getting that perfect body wouldn't help
Mhm.
because I've had that. And it's, man, when I joined the army, you're looking at somebody that doesn't like being told what to do. But yeah, I still joined the army, right? And when I did join the army, with what I had to do to get in there, I mean, in my regiment, and this is something if there was to say who was the strongest guy in the regiment, my name would be in the ranking in the top three, and that's not me with the ego.
Mhm.
When you read my chapter, you will know because it's in the chapter with what I did there. But again, I was a guy that was. They thought they're gonna have problems with me with ego. He's gonna be this. He's that. No, I was never. I was always very to myself, and I was very confident in my own self, but also intimidated people who were in power because they couldn't control me. Because in the army, if I didn't want them to do something, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because of what I did in as a young kid. If somebody didn't respect me, it's not the case I wrote the T-shirt. I mean, reprinted the T-shirt. It's not in my DNA to respect anybody if they don't respect me. So when I was in the army, I was exactly the same.
Mhm.
Nothing changed. Do you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So it's like that. I'm very strong-minded in my own mind, but I know I'm a good person, and I don't like bullies. And I always just want to try and get the best out of me and whoever I'm with. If I'm with you and you're my friend, I've only got nothing but love for you and to
Yeah.
do right by it. And sometimes I overshare and I overgive, and that's where my problems have come from at such a young age with giving, 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 and that's what's caused a lot of my depression and stuff like that.
Mhm. Wow. Oh my God. As I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm just like, gosh, this guy's mindset is like so fixed on success, really. And I don't mean like, a success that's ego driven, just you want to
Yeah,
succeed in whatever you put your hand to. And you said something that was very interesting. You said that, and this was a while back, you said something about how that what's happening on the outside is a reflection back to you. And so
yeah,
what you want to do is you want to reflect something different so that you
yeah,
receive something back. So would you say, Nicholas, that
yeah,
you are a creator of your reality?
yeah. We're architects of our own lives because even when I was in the factory job, I was peed off with somebody, and if I would talk negative to him, I'll get it straight back. Now, even though I could be peed off with him, if I just talk calm and just had the conversation, that conversation goes a totally different way. So I started to read that, and in my family, everybody's been so negative, horrible, beating each other up, doing all these kinds of things. And I've noticed people, there's no emotional intelligence with nobody. I thought, haven't you understood why that person did what they did? Why would that person do that? And this is what I'm saying, hurt people, hurt people. If
Mhm.
you understood and took a step back, okay, that person, I ain't gonna bother with that person again. You'll see a different. You'll be dealing with a different person, if not no person at all. So with me, because coming from such a young age, and thinking I couldn't. I mean, when I left school, I couldn't even write my middle name. When I joined the army, I couldn't even write my mum's name. So my confidence was out of it. It was non-existent as far as writing's concerned. And what I was going to say, from not thinking I could do anything, as I grew older, especially being in this factory, you think with all what I've done in the army, you'd think, oh yeah, you would know what to do when you've got it. What made me is when I went to the factory, and I thought, I watched people leave there and it's taken the best from them. I found the best in myself, even though I went into a dark space. And that's why I thought, right, if I stay here, I'm going to be ruined. I'm going to go to jail because I'm going to do something bad. I've got to go. You know what you're going to do now. Let's go. And like again, I just befriended myself, right, put myself to the task and just followed up on that. And now we've been older, I've got so much intelligence going on in my head. And I think, wow, I just feel like I could do so much more. You know what I mean? And it was mad. I had a girlfriend way back 30 years ago, and she always used to say, you should be doing so much more with yourself, but you're not doing it. I thought, well, I was studying carpentry at the time, and I thought I was feeling good with that because I'm not good at reading or writing. There's still like a theory side, and it's only just when I got like a few years, but I realized this is what you're saying.
Wow.
You could do so much more, and again, that broke me down and nearly brought me to tears. And with looking what used to happen to me when I used to look back in my childhood, it really, really used to get me down. It used to spoil me with the drugs. It used to beat me up. Whereas now, when people think, oh, when you look back at your younger self, what would you say? What would you say to? I wouldn't say nothing. When I look back at my own younger self now, my younger self saying, I was strong for you. So
Mm.
enable you to do your job. Because when I was walking around drama school, I was nearly in tears. I mean, one of the people there, one of the students there says, I just couldn't get out of my seat. I couldn't, to get up and do the monologue. What it is, I was, you just imagine spending all your life like that. But that's what I've been through. And the person just looked at me. When I left there, they said you was the most improved here because you went from nowhere. It's like bloody, what's happened? I've just carried on pushing, not worrying about anybody else's thinking because I was going to think my what I think of myself is that's the most important thing I need to be thinking of. You know what I mean? And all I've done is just kept on pepper potting, going through. I mean, I've just jumped there. When I was walking, if you remember Fame back in the day, when I was walking around the studio, I felt like Leroy from Fame. I was thinking,
Oh,
bloody hell, with all these emotions, because he was misunderstood when he was a dancer because he had so much struggles in his family life, and that's what I had. And when it comes to the reading and that, uh, I mean, I'm tearing up now, but it just breaks. Almost people didn't realize when I was at school, the first couple of years I spent it crying because I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. People didn't understand. They didn't teach right. So for me, why I'm doing this is because people who feel like they can't do anything. I've been a prisoner in my own mind for years, and I'm only just coming out now, just trying to do my bit. I mean, as far as being a life coach, my body's still in fight or flight. I'm trying to be an actor, be a working actor, and now be a public speaker. My body is under so much duress because I'm trying to do this part. I will do it. It's that's where I realise where my problems have been. Do you know what I mean? Is my body comes up with all these defense mechanisms not to procrastinate. Even like this morning, I knew I had to shave and cut me. I was struggling to get out of bed this morning. And I thought, hold on, you're going to be on an to doing something that you're going to love. I go, what's going on here? I go, it's that. It's that. And I get that with so much things.
yeah.
And it's a case of, okay, you're going to feel like that and you're still going to do it and it's going to be done. So
Yes.
it is what it is. Come
Yes.
on, just you know what I mean. Just that is it. And with me doing this, I can really understand why people don't try and be their best version of themselves or try and do better for themselves because it's so painful.
Mm.
And especially if you haven't got a loved one in the same house. And let's put it this way, I was off work for 4 months. I've seen nobody. since I've been on my journey and acting and that, and you stop taking the drugs and having all the part, you haven't got the people around you like how you used to because do you know what I mean? Your boundaries are changed. So now, I'm not. I mean, I'd be up late, and if there's come back from clubs, people come and drop at mine, and well, I'm not available for that. No, no, not at my house. Not, I'm busy doing other stuff. Oh, I want to go out. Let's go out here. No, no. Even if I weren't going anywhere, I'd be like, I just want to sit here and just chill, relax, and be in my own thought patterns, whether I'm doing something or not, because that's a distraction. The amount of people, oh, look, my mates, my girlfriend's friend's got, a friend. And I was like, well, you can go out for a drink. Because I don't wake up at all thinking that, I wouldn't mind just go out for a beer or go. Now it's just 100% on me. When you realize how much attention, how much energy you give to people to
Mm.
do stuff, I limit all of that. For me, I've only got time for me right now. I've got all the love for me. I'm loving myself so much now. Unless people are coming with those vibrations and can talk freely, they can't talk freely and just to be. I don't want to say just be vulnerable, but just talk about your passion, what you want to do.
Yeah,
Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? We don't have to be out know like the same thing, but what I'll get from it is your passion and your drive. What gets you to do that? That will inspire me. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It's just your love and your passion, your drive, what you've got, whatever it is you're going to do, and that's where I'm at.
Oh my gosh. I love your energy. It sounds like to me too that you've learned boundaries, because there's
Yeah,
something, I mean, I don't know about you, but like I spent many years just leaking everywhere, man. Like my energy was being leaked into 100,000 other
ooh,
things, that were tapping that would literally it was drinking from the well instead of the overflow, the well of my
yeah,
heart. So let's talk for a minute about the persistence that I can sense with you now to have boundaries.
yeah, 100%.
So tell me
Say that
about
again.
it. Tell me
What?
about the boundaries. What does it look like for you? Yes, it's about I don't want people in my energy. Yeah, I don't want people,
Yeah.
but
Well, okay.
but what is this to you? Talk about it.
My boundaries is I'm not interested what someone else is doing, and if it's something positive about what they're doing, yeah, 100%. But if
Yep.
it's something negative, oh, that person did this and she done that. Listen, I haven't got no time for any of that. The boundaries is if you want to come and have a little drink and a pizza, whatever, not fine. But I mean, I watch UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, what's
Yeah.
late at night before. I stopped doing that. I'm not staying up
Yep.
to them times.
Yeah.
Why did I can watch it on YouTube the next day?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? When I used to go out, be with a friend, then with his friend, I just wouldn't know when to come back home. So
Yeah.
again, you know what I mean? Going to pubs,
Yep.
I stopped that. Do you know what
Mhm.
I mean? I just don't like if people are bringing like if they're coming with to mine and they're bringing something, who are you bringing? Who's that? No, I'm not interested in meeting anybody else. If you
Mm.
can't come to me by yourself, then forget it. I don't bother with anybody if they don't bother with me. I mean, it's a case of if you don't want to contact me, I mean, look, at my life is very interesting right now. There's a lot going on. So to speak to me, if you haven't spoken to me in a long time, it's very easy. There's a lot of questions you can throw at me. I quite happily answer them to anybody. But if people are not, they're not interested. So if they're not interested, they're not bothered. So you know what I do? I don't bother with nobody. So what does that mean? I'm on my own.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Because what I realised, loyalty has an expiration date, and it's expired on family and certain friends a long, long time ago. Because it's like you find that when you stop giving,
Yeah.
your friendship or your family, they've come to a certain point where they've got to just do that little bit more. They never do.
Mm.
Time goes by, 2, 3, 4 months, like this, my time I've had off work. Then you continue doing what you did. You probably go back there, do it again. And then when it comes time and you stop, it comes again. You don't see people. I've had friends that I haven't seen for 8 years. Why? Because I've stopped
Yeah.
my bit of communication. I've got friends that I've known from childhood, but it doesn't just because you know someone a long time doesn't mean that that's your best friend or your friend is somebody who chips in, he calls you. I mean, like if I was doing a friend was doing what I'm doing now, I'd be calling and finding out, and again, you could get it. get yourself in a bad place with people because they're not doing what you would do. That's where again another one where I've gone wrong. Don't expect people to do what you do. People haven't got the same heart as
Mhm.
you. You know what I mean? So you can't expect people you to do what you're doing. And you know what? Whereas I got a little bit resentful with that back in the day, I just love them for who they are anyway. Because at the end of the day, I can just have more time for myself and find people are more like me.
Mhm.
You know, people can talk free like what we're doing. I can talk freely, and it doesn't feel too heavy because I find a lot of people like, oh, I mean, everybody thinks that like they're a coach and that they can understand. And I've been a lot of places where I've been down and low, and I've been having bad days, and I've still turned up again. That's what I'm like. And then you realize you've let yourself down a bit because you've overshared because somebody thought, oh, what's your problem? And you've told them, and then
Oh
they've
yeah.
got, and then you're like, okay, you see, I
Mhm.
was keep. I mean, I had a friend, an army pal. I used to always go to. But again, I've dug him back out the archives. I've chased and found him, and I used to go to Manchester. But every time I used to go to Manchester to see him, he's like when I used to leave Birmingham. When I used to be out with him, I used to be in tears. I used to end up finishing my night crying, and I thought, whoa, what is all this about? It's been so heavy. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I've just been identifying again, me and my brother are a 18-month gap difference. And when I got into my relationship with my ex, a lot of that, she was like my mum, that she never really had the support of a fella in that respect. The kids were 18-month gap difference.
Mhm.
But again, one of the reasons, I mean, I should that went wrong because I should have loved her for who she was instead of who I wanted her to be. So I've identified that, and our love languages were different. But at the same time, it was a little bit of escapism. It took me away because I stopped taking the drugs and all of that stuff when I was there. So it helped me. I was enjoying the time with her and the kids, and then with bringing up the kids. You know, the oldest one, Lewis, he was no good at maths, but he always wanted to be the best. He had that in him, and I seen that spark. So I spent the time with him and got him with the maths, and like he become a mathematician in a sense that he used to go to all the maths and go they go and challenge other schools and stuff like that. He'd be in the maths team. Kyron, he suffered with reading and writing. Now that touched my heart big
Yes.
time. And he used to say like, "Oh, the teachers are they're reading too fast. I just can't keep I feel stressed." Now I'm a stepdad. I had no one do this for me. So when we went to the parents' evening, I spoke to the teacher. And then after I spoke to that teacher and I told him that, you're going too fast, you need you to slow down. When we went back to the next parents' evening, about 4 months after, he's in top of the class. And
Yeah.
that's because, again, with me coming in, teaching it, and again, I'm teaching him stuff I can't even do, but just making it out and just providing the stuff for him, like the apps and stuff like that. And
Yep.
that's what I did. You know what I mean? So for me, I was giving to these kids that I never had for myself, but at the same time, making sure that, I didn't over impede their dad because their dad, obviously, the biological father. But whereas me there, I just thought, as a being a stepdad, I know how to fill the gaps.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Whereas when I was growing up, when I had a stepdad, no, but he didn't even help my mum, and that's why I could identify with filling in the gaps. So what I realized with myself when I go through life, I always notice things either good or bad and how to make that work for me for my advantage. Or again, you probably take up some things that, all depending on how you're feeling, if it's a negative, do you know what I mean? But I've just, like I said, I've just realized there's so much more in me, but I've just got to put myself out there and just stick with it. And that, but the thing, this journey, it's mad because you could be doing your meditations, you could be doing all your breathe, you could do all your walks, and then the next day you wake up, oh, that's where the depression comes in. You think, well, I'm doing everything. Well, why don't I? No, no. Well, it's your inner child. It's all your stuff. So if you know better, just do better.
Yeah.
And it might take you that extra, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour to get out, but give yourself a pat on the back because you've done it. When I
Right.
look back
That's
at my
it.
life,
That's it right there.
yeah,
Because what I'm
yeah,
hearing from you is self-love. And I'm
yeah,
hearing from you an ability to say, okay, you're almost like carrying it's like what it feels like to me is you're carrying the balance of the
yeah,
struggles with the successes. And you're carrying it in balance, but your hands are open like this. You're letting
yeah,
go. of things.
Hmm.
So why do you feel, Nicholas, that people attach themselves to things? Why do they keep themselves in these places that are just not benefiting? We know it's not benefiting.
But it's better the devil you know, man. The fear, because
Yes, yes.
what happens is when you go to something new, then you go right back to that pain, how it felt right at the beginning.
Mm.
It's just Tetris. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
you know what it is. That's why you stay. It's just like, well, how do I do it? You overthink it, and
Mhm.
it's like there's this I can't remember it. It's the is it the horse, the fox, and the mole? And he said,
Yes,
this firefighter, right? And
I
he
think it
goes,
is, or I think so. Yes.
it's some of it. I probably said the one wrong thing, but he says, you know, if you can't see your way forward, he says, but if you take a look down, he says, can you see to take the next step? And he says, well, do just that. That's all I've been doing. I didn't realize, like, how am I so far ahead of
Mhm.
myself? Because that's all what I've been doing. The acting thing. Okay, I'll go to the improv. What I said to myself, I goes, right, I said to myself like this, to my metaphor, this ain't gonna be comfortable, but no matter how you feel, deal with yourself in the building. Don't have the next day and then no. And that's what you know how much times I've had to lean on that. Even at drama school. Drama school was London, which was like it's not far from because you're in America. You're from America, yeah.
Yeah, I'm from America. Mhm.
And you guys are used to driving far places. To drive 6 7 hours is nothing really for you
Yep.
guys. You got them long highways. But for me to drive to drive to drama school, it's like an hour and a half. But what I'm trying to say is, what I did is, even though I felt uncomfortable, because I give myself that little metaphor, that little program, I got in the building and dealt myself in the building, and with that meant is like, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And even if I go to casting directors workshops, I noticed there'll be a lot of better actors than me and who've been doing it a long time, and they'll be all sitting there, you know, anxious to get up. And I realised I go in the first three, one, two, three, go. And when I went to, I've been to like, yeah, probably about 12 now. I don't like going first. What I go second. So then I dropped it from third to second. It's like, right, third, second, get up, go. It's going to be uncomfortable anyway. Let's do it up there. And that's what I did. There's many times I'm supposed to go. I'm not feeling well in myself. I've turned, but I've still done it.
Yes.
I've still done it. And it's like, I tell you, she's got Mel Robbins. She's just wrote a new book now called "Let Them,"
Hmm.
and basically, it's let what anybody thinks what they're saying, let them. And again, that's what hers is all science based because she's had neuroscientists and this, that, and the other. I'm halfway through it, and I thought to myself, well, that's what you put in order for you to get here. You just had to just let everybody and just not be attached to what how they think and feel about you because you've only got to, you know, the only person, again, like I said, you only got a person you should be worried about is yourself and how you feel. How do you feel about what it is you're doing? And if you do feel bad, why do you feel that way? And just have them little talks with yourself. And for me now, that's all I've been doing. It's just like stop over it. It'll always feel like how it's going to feel in my head. But I just all I'm doing is trying to just do my best, you know, because like I say, I'm not a life coach. I don't know how that part works, but at the same time, I for me, I called it's the graduation because when I go to talk on the third, I would have tackled all my fears. I would have done all of the jobs, and the question I said to myself: now you've done it all, do you feel the way you thought you would feel? And the thing is, now you know it's you versus you. It's been you versus you all the time. It's never about what anybody else thought or how they made you feel. It's the way you've made you feel, the way I've made myself feel. Do you know what I mean? So it's like after I've done my talk, I know what I'll be like after that. Once I've felt that energy and I'm up there, and that will help me to do whatever else I'm going to do on the back end of that. And for me, it's just a case of it, being in that box in my head.
Yeah.
It's all those thoughts. It's going back,
Yeah.
looking over them, and just thinking about how you thought about them. just kind of changing them narratives on that there is just going to help loosen me up this end. Does that make
This
sense
is
to you?
so
So
beautiful. This
yeah.
is so beautiful. It's, it's funny because we're just about out of time. We have
Oh
like I told you like an hour, and I'm just sitting here and I'm just listening to you, and I just want to reflect back to you what this
yeah.
conversation has felt like. It has felt
Right.
like an ascending journey into personal power.
Yeah.
And
That's
that is what it has
beautiful.
felt like as I've
Yeah.
been sitting here listening to you. It's funny, there's this Bible verse, and it's coming to me, and it's been coming to me the whole time, that as a person thinks in themselves, so are they.
Yeah.
And that is exactly your journey. As you have been thinking of yourself, how you've been putting yourself into these places that are uncomfortable. Okay. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it, they're uncomfortable. They're not easy. They're not streamlined. It's like shit can hit the fans and it could be pretty wild. But
Yeah.
as you thought inside yourself, as you went inside yourself, you found yourself. And you
Yeah.
found the power within yourself to rise, to ascend, to overcome, to conquer, to be triumphant. You have found that. And I think when people are going to listen to this, they're going to be like, yeah, if he can do it, if Nicholas can do it, if he can find his footing and his grounding, well, then so can I. And just as I've been sitting here listening to you, and you say, I'm not a life coach, and you don't even need that title. But what you
Yeah.
are is you are a message. You
All
are a
right.
message of empowerment. And so don't ever sell yourself short that you don't
Yeah.
have something to contribute in the area of like, because everybody's like the life coach. Okay, like you are life right in front of
Mhm.
us. You are manifesting the message of life that each one of us can take with us as we move off this platform, as we close this interview. People are going to be like, I can take that with me. I can take the things that he said. Oh, the key lessons of how what is reflected back to you is because of what you're reflecting to other people. That's
Yeah.
powerful. That's so powerful. And I think we live in a society right now where there's a lot of blaming and shaming and guilting, and everybody's, doing this thing. But the reality is, as you think inside yourself, so shall you be, but so
Yeah.
shall life be. And so I
Yeah.
just want to commend you today, Nicholas. I want to say that this has been just a joy to hear your
Thank
journey,
you.
bits and bobs of
Yeah.
it, to
Yeah.
feel the presence within you of fire, that air. Oh boy, there's a fire in you, and there's a passion in you to undo all the ancestral stuff, to keep stepping into all that stuff and saying, I'm not going to be like I was raised. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be ancestral line. In fact, I'm starting a whole new line, and this is what it looks for me. And it's just been a beautiful conversation with you,
Thank
truly.
you. Thank you.
Truly. And I wish I was there, going to be there on May 3rd, because I'm not. I actually have to fly back to the States on May 2nd. But I
Yeah.
want you to know, I wish you just the fullness of a journey coming to certain closes in your life, because that's what this is going to do. It's going to
Yeah.
be doors slamming shut on some things and doors opening on others. And you're making. So thank you so much. And if people want to reach out to you, let's just say somebody says, I just want to talk to that guy further. Where can they find you so they can
Yeah.
connect?
Well, I am on TikTok and the other ones, but the main one, because I can't function them all,
I can't
is
either.
Instagram. I'm like, no, that's too much going on for me. And it's I'm on Instagram, original underscore Nicholas underscore Graham, lowercase, and you get me on Instagram.
Well, that's perfect, Nicholas. Nicholas, thank you for coming on
Thank
and
you
sharing
so
your
much,
heart,
man.
sharing
Appreciate
your
it so much.
spirit,
Thank
sharing
you.
your energy. All right, everybody, you know where to find this. The replay will be coming up soon where you can catch Nicholas's story and just hear the message of empowerment. Because that's what this whole Advocate of Soul podcast is about. It's about empowering people, having people come on, sharing their journey, sharing their message, not only empowers us, but it also empowers them. And it's like a collective loop that just keeps going. So thank you for just being here, everybody.